Actually, I'm not letting you meet my family. I don't think you need to. Like, the fact that you met Caitlin and Justin, I think is good enough. And then you can meet my, like, little sibling.
I was invited to a preview event of Dune Awakening, for which Funcom flew me across the world on a 100-hour-plus trip to get a hands-on experience of the game, meet the devs, and many amazing creators.
I just got done recording for the game. That is exciting stuff.
Yes, sir. That person's dead. That person is 100% dead. Oh, snap. No way. Giving up! So tag along with me on this experience of a lifetime as we dive into this journey and game. Hey, my lovelies, I am your humble ringmaster, Crowmeda, and say it with me now, let the show begin!
Let's go.
Our adventure begins in Paraguay, Sunday the 19th, grabbing a quick bite from Alcor, who drove through the green city of Asunción to the Silvio Petitsi airport. It was 40 degrees Celsius at the time, so I looked forward to reach Norway ASAP. Luckily, I boarded the plane in a flash, and thus began my 12-hour flight to Madrid. I was so excited to try the game, meet the devs, and many content creators. This lengthy flight takes us into Monday the 20th. This was my first time in Europe, by the way. I roamed the seemingly empty airport of Madrid at 5 a.m., took a shuttle to my new terminal, and like this airport is huge but not complicated. After my re-check-in, I have some work to do, so the boys can keep going with the 100 days edits. So after that, and a quick fight, I headed on over to my gate and desperately tried to get some shut-eye as I didn't get any on that last flight. As I awoke, it was a whopping -7 Celsius, so I scurried onto my next flight to Oslo. It's already so cold, and I haven't even arrived in Norway yet. That layover was like 5 hours and 4 more to go for this last flight, but side note, I learned vlogging is kind of hard. You want to make sure you have window seats, equipment, make sure you don't film faceless creators, plus respecting NDAs, so this was an incredible learning experience for Flesh, but being completely out of the comfort zone. The flight to Norway went off without a hitch, not even any turbulence to speak of, but as we began our descent, I witnessed more snow than I ever have before. I sure hope that I brought enough winter attire. By the time that I was off my plane, Syntax was already arriving here too, so I waited for him, and together we took the train to Oslo. Also, first time for me being on a train, which brought us to the station in a jiffy, and with that, straight into the center of town, which looks absolutely stunning. Thankfully, the hotel was only like 3 blocks away, so I tossed all of my luggage into my cozy room and stumbled into the hotel bar to meet the others. Having now met up with Viola, Aaron, Savi, and Axman, we began to explore the city at night while looking for some grub, and then promptly crashing as the jet lag was real. The next morning, Tuesday 21st, I hopped down for some breakfast before heading out solo, as I had won a raffle to record my voice to be in the game. Voice acting has always been a performance form that I've been interested in, so this felt like a match made in heaven.
Very beautiful city. Everything is basically within walking distance, at least where we're at. If I'm not mistaken, that building right there. That should be fun. I am so excited.
That's Crowmeda. Wow.
It's one thing to go with, but to win the raffle replace.
Oh yeah.
I would what's up, but I said yes, and I'm excited. That's all that matters.
Now, for the actual recordings, as I'm posting this, I am still under an NDA of what it is, but you'll know the credits of the game itself.
Yeah.
I just got done.
I'm making a reaction video. You're good. It's only 31 minutes.
NPC, I suppose. For the game, I can't say too much. But that is exciting stuff. That is the coolest thing I have ever done. That was absolutely amazing. It was still early in the day, so I scouted out where the boys were at, and ended up meeting them at a pub next to the hotel to relax for a bit before heading out, as all creators were to meet up for lunch at a place called El Dorado, which is a gaming and movie-themed spot. I loved the place and met so many creators here, like Totally Clips, Johnny Doo, Snoopy, Lucky Goes, Ariana, and Davids. I'm just an idiot and forgot to take pictures. After eating, we had a tour of Funcom's studio. Can't show the inside of it since the whole place was at full steam making the game, but it was amazing to see the
models being made, game mechanics showed off, and meeting more of the devs. However, I was allowed to take this shot of the recording room that I did the lines in. After that, everyone just walked on over to another bar where we hung out and had plenty of games to play, like arcades and shuffleboard.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yes, sir. As the night went on, we headed on over to a spot for some pizza, and then got some much-needed rest. As Wednesday the 22nd was the big one, the day we could play the game. So after an in-depth presentation in the cinema area, we popped on into the gaming room with tons of rigs, got a gift bag with the Dune shirt, face cover, and shades, had drinks and snacks at the ready for a multi-hour gaming session, and proceeded to boot up the game on our designated rigs. So without any further ado, let's hop into the scorching world of Dune Awakening. So without spoiling the story, you play as a prisoner presenting oneself in front of a member of the Bene Gesserit, which prompts the character customization. It has a comfortable amount of options and sliders to choose from, and one could spend tons of time on this, but I wanted to get into the meat and potatoes of the game, so once I was pretty, I got to choose some background options. Of the great houses listed right here, I went with Gatey Prime, so yes, hard-headed, which makes me good at deception. Up next was a choice of rank that you were in the past. I went with Nocmedia, so my dialogue trait is ability. As for who my mentor was, this lets you choose your starting ability, basically, and I went with Swordmaster, granting me some deflection. With that out of the way, Randy here proceeds to threaten us with an ominous mission and kicks us off the mothership straight onto the deadliest planet in the universe. In short, the transport ship crashes, and you then wake up in a cave with likely a concussion, dehydration, and a bat that watches you, which I will be following to find my escape. As I stumbled through the cave system, I came across a corpse with a Frem kit. Don't mind if I do. This let me craft a scrap knife, which is very effective against these barriers called moisture seals. To my luck, these plants here have dew on them, which you can drink to get at least 1 bar of hydration on the left bottom. Up. As you'd expect, there's a lot of focus on hydration in this game, but on the flip side, you don't have to worry about food. We were told that there is spice foods to gain a state of power, but it's not required to survive. Also, fall damage does exist, so to heal up, you grab these bushes, turn them into bandages, and presto, you are now a licensed medical professional. A quick disclaimer though, of course, all you are seeing here is work in progress, so things could end up being different in the released version, and you can wishlist Dune Awakening on Steam through a link that I got for you down below, so you're as ready as can be for when it drops. The climbing is very smooth, but you do gotta watch out for your stamina when doing so. But yes, further up, I reached the exit, turned my way on through, to be greeted by the blinding sunlight of this desert world, along with what's left of the ship that I was on, which has been encircled by the Emperor's soldiers, so we need to make an escape. This part teaches you about sunstroke. Stand too long in the sun and you will suffer. Gotta keep to the shade to keep your hydration up. Up next, our knife proved to not just be a good barrier opener, but also a decent human opener. So from this poor soul, I looted a cutter ring, which is the starting resource gathering tool, which, in my opinion, makes resource gathering more fun, since all you gotta do is scan resource nodes, and from there, cut along the marked line. A bit more attention required, sure, but it is very fast. Once inside the wreck, I was faced with the combat tutorial. For now, all I got is melee, so you have some slashes here and there, some parries, which create openings for good damage, but then came the troops with shields. Just like in the lore, those are perfect shields, and only certain darts and slow blades can get through. Besides running out of power, of course, you gotta make an opening and perform a slow blow, and depending on the enemy, you'll either succeed or fail, from my understanding. A key that I picked up let me pass through force fields, no problem whatsoever, so inside the captain's chamber, I activated a transmitter, which resulted in a squad of ornithopters to descend. And through various means that I don't want to spoil, I ended up flying one and made my grand escape into a sandstorm to lose the remaining heat from the soldiers, which, as you may expect, ends up with me crashing and subsequently getting up in the middle of nowhere, free to do as I please, as I've officially passed the tutorial. Oh no. Wait. Here we go. That easy. That is intimidating. early survival involves reaching these rock
I think that was my
islands
phone.
where the sandworm
I've
can't
been
get you.
ignoring it.
And as to where we are, that would be the starting zone of the PvE area called
Yeah,
Aga Basin. PvP is at a much
been
larger
ignoring
scale
it for
later
some
in the game
reason.
in a place called the Deep Desert, which I will touch up on later, since now we gotta lock down the basics of survival, since these glows won't cut it for the sun, so some more bushes need to be harvested, which prompts the technology tab to be opened, where you research, or better said, unlock recipes, in this case, makeshift clothing, of which I made a whole set to cover my frail skin. Up next, resource gathering. Of the ones available in the starter area, there's some granite stone, as well as salvaged metal pieces, but one must remember to not stray too far.
Oh, look at whoosh. I'm in danger. I think I'm in danger.
I then came across another player, that being Aaron, with whom I took some selfies, and then observed from a safe distance as he chased a mud deep into the sands, which ended up with him being chased. 'Tis the circle of life on Arrakis, all returns to the great Shai Hulud. After witnessing all that, I was sure to place down a respawn beacon and learned that you can recover lost items from your death bag should you die, unless you get eaten by a sandworm. That makes you lose everything you were carrying. So it's a mix of non-hardcore and hardcore, which I like. It gives an emphasis to the worm, as it should always be feared no matter how far you've progressed. By now, I had also made my first firearm, being an improvised Mala pistol with light darts as its ammunition, which I'm to use to take over scavenger camps, while learning my skills, like the deflection that I got. But after taking over a camp, I had enough points to open up the skills menu, where there are so many options to personalize your build. At the bottom are the skill trees you can progress in, and above are the skills related to the tab that you're in. So there are a ton of options, but in my case, I went with the ability to connect my knee to the chins of those that oppose me, so it's safe to say I'm able to fend for myself at this point. The next best thing to do is set up a base of operations, so after gathering up a new resource node, which ended up being copper, I worked towards gathering 150 granite stone to build a home. During this, I observed another player's target, which was beaten but still had enough strength to heal back up, so you gotta watch your back. You never know what'll bite you in the butt in this dog-eat-dog world. I then was able to whip up a construction tool and found a narrow path through some cliffs, which I wanted to claim as my own. Instead of a troll under the bridge, it's a crow between the paths. Here I placed my sub-thief console to claim the spot, placed some floors, some walls of course, along with a roof, a piece for storage, and finished off my square hut with a fuel-powered generator, which takes fuel cells to give your base a shield. Shields are mostly needed in PvP, sure, but one still needs these in PvE to prevent base decay from the raging storms that happen on the maps. A good, more friendly method to prevent building clutter, in my opinion. Now, to sustain oneself, you gotta make a blood extractor along with blood packs, go and introduce your new neighbors to your guard dispenser, and suck the corpses dry of their sweet red nectar. Starting to feel like the desert Dracula. The blood bags you simply bring back home, or in a blood purifier, you set it to turn into water over time, which is a lengthy process, but once you log back in, you'll be sure to come back to some priceless H2O. There are canisters to take it on the go, but in my case, I just drank from it as is. So with that done, I think we're feeling as cozy as we can here on Arrakis. Once you've established yourself, the main quest line leads you to your next destination with purple indicators, and I shouldn't spoil too much, so while I make my very long trek to said purple marker, here's some info about the game we got from the devs in super compact form. Sandworms. The worms have designated territories where they roam, only rarely chasing prey into other worm territories, so if you see someone being impaled by these kilometer-long Roombas, that's your shot to cross the sands while it's busy. And yes, you can basically summon them by placing down thumpers like in the movies. Also, the worms you've been seeing are apparently small. There are much larger ones prowling the deep desert that pose a huge threat to even the largest of guilds. On that topic, the deep desert. Having mentioned that the big worms live there, that's also where PvP happens and where the most valuable spice deposits are, so it's a high-risk, high-reward map. And when I say map, I mean to say a mind-shatteringly large playable area. It's multiple times larger than the Conan Exiles map, and it changes its shape weekly due to intense storms, wiping the map clean, making dungeons disappear, and new ones emerge from the sands. To be honest, this place has me super excited once I do 100 days in this game with Team Caps. Also, as I'm running, note that the noise that I make while on the sands alerts the worm to my location, so you gotta either book it or play it slow while risking your hydration in the blazing sun. Here's also where I came across a large camp in my way, so as I plunder it, here's more juicy info. Endgame politics. As the lore of Dune goes, there are major houses that influence the politics of mankind, so in time,
No,
the more
I'm kind of in this video right now, live
the
streaming.
game,
So I'm
you
not-
gain their
I'm
favor
really
by
excited.
doing missions for them, thus ascending the ranks and boosting your house's political influence. And in short, the house that has the most support can vote on a decree that affects the server for a week, changing aspects in PvE or PvP. So it's in your best interest to participate for the greater good of your house, guild, and most importantly, personal interests. Alrighty, so with this outpost cleared, I proceeded into a cave which had an old temple inside, and essentially, a big part to story progression is that you take on spice trials to further your character. However, I can't show that. You'll have to experience that fever dream for yourselves. Now, my way back home is just as long as getting here, so this is the perfect time to summarize for you 2 interviews that I got to do. Each interview was 20 minutes, but I'll only go over the most crucial info for you. The Chief Product Officer, Scott Jr., was up first. I asked what the die-hard Dune fans' critique of the game, and his response was that they are using an alternative timeline, which is an obvious risk, but it is validated as well. In the lore, there are many paths that the story could have been played out, and this game is just one of them, basically. So, not everything will always line up exactly with the books, for example, but rest assured, there is a reason for everything they do. As to what can content creators look forward to with this game long term, he stated that worlds are different from server to server. Political systems will have an influence as different houses will either have the upper hand or be losing. That aspect always continues and lets the player come in and have something progressionally to do. On the topic of politics, I asked if diving into that makes a massive difference or is mostly subtle. He elaborated that there are 2 aspects to this. First, your personal journey with either house grants you mostly cosmetic advancements, and secondly, the interaction between other players on the server will have a more in-depth effect on the world as you go and vote on decrees and complete certain tasks for people. As to how it is to work with the Dune IP, the world of Dune has a lot of advantages to work with, but also logically some restrictions. The world is just standard rock, so they did end up adding stuff to make the biomes feel different. Up next was the senior art director Gavin Whelan, and his job is to shape the world by balancing the visual design with the story and gameplay needs, putting oneself in the shoes of the player and imagine what needs to go where to make the experience come to life. As to if the movies affected what he could and couldn't do in the game in relation to the design, he said that nothing is more scary to an artist than a blank page, so it was great for them to have a fountain of inspiration like the books and the new movies. All that helped them to design the game, but they did end up making the world less monochromatic, which is very important for a game, as that keeps people playing the game for longer. Honestly, we just had a lovely, lengthy conversation, and what I learned from him is that making the story come to life is what makes the game so great, while letting the player take ownership of the game. From what I observed, they do want the player in control. They throw the player some bones as to not just tell them to figure things out themselves without taking away their freedom. As you likely can tell, I am no pro-journalist at all. I just got here, but being able to do this was so nice, solidifying this trip as one that I will never forget. And just like that, we're home sweet home. But all that running around had me keen to explore some more. So now that I'm fully hydrated, have dipped a toe into the story, and am surviving, it's time to figure out how to thrive in this hellscape of the planet. And a good place to start is with a larger base. Things are getting cramped in here, so I went up the 2nd floor, where I placed a fabricator, my ticket to better gear. With it, I was able to make my first scavenger still suit set, which will help me keep my moisture, while making me look better, so sun, less scary. Worm, still very much so scary.
Oh yeah.
Up next, I was tasked with making an ore refinery, inside which I made copper ingots, which were spent on making a Sermi Pearl launcher, which will help map out the area, but we need to reach higher ground first. Note how little I've seen so far. That will soon change. So as I'm beginning my mountain climbing session, 2 notes. Number 1 is that I could have chosen a starting ability with a grappling hook, which I definitely will choose next time, and we were told that you can do surveys with ornithopters as well, which helps you make maps that marks everything, even hidden treasure, which you can use or sell on the open market. So, scouts, rejoice! I know Alfajor is going to love this feature. Also, this game is gorgeous, and I may not know the specs of the PC that I used, but it was running very smooth. Now about that probe.
You launch it into the sky, wait a bit till it's done scanning, and presto! Map has been expanded greatly. I can now see a spot for a task that I gotta do at a place called Griffin's Reach Trade Post. So that's my new destination. This trek was going to be much longer than the last one, but I got to see other people's faces, quite a few more creators along the way, and one good thing is that the map shows where a sandworm is reaching. On your travels, you can find crashed vehicles too, which you can disassemble for supplies, which is very nice, but note that the further you go, the more inevitable it is to cross large stretches of sand.
Oh, better whoever that was than me. I hope so. I thought it was coming for me.
My break to safety had me stumbling upon a dungeon, an ecological research station, if you will, which already had been completed. These aren't instances, by the way, but don't worry, enemies eventually respawn and loot is individualized, so there's no risk of missing out on anything. These dungeons, in short, operate by getting colored keycards to get access to new areas, and they have added story to them, like in voice recordings in this case. Plus, this is where you find lush vegetation to have a change of scenery. They even have tap water down here. I did end up engaging with some respawned enemies, and although 2 seem fine to handle, if 3 start focusing you, it can get a little bit dicey, so I had to peek and heal till I cleared out the remaining areas. That I prepared enough bandage for this. But yes, it was loot galore down here. Box after box after box was opened to get sweet Solaris coins, machinery parts, and much more. I descended deeper into the facility and found an interesting room with mutated plants having to do with the story of this place, and in short, I just ended up looting every single room that I could find and took my leave, which is when I unlocked 2 new skills. One was a 1-point dip into blade damage, opening that skill tree further, and got Tough Lunge. Basically, sprint attacks use less stamina and provide some damage mitigation. By the time that I was out, it was already nighttime, so I didn't have to worry as much about water usage, but the sandworms are on that 24-hour shift by the looks of things. Funnily enough, what ended me, though, was just me underestimating a batch of enemies as I met my end right then and there. Luckily, I respawned in the dungeon with my gear, but I forgot that you drop a death bag with resources and Solaris coins, so I didn't pick it up, but more on that later. For now, I enacted my revenge and kept up the marathon to reach the trading post, which was now in view. Ever so cautiously I progressed, for I have come too far to be sent back home now, and that paid off as I reached the safety of its borders, a new combat zone to catch your breath and to do commerce. At the trader, I used my hardened and deceptive abilities to ensure that I could basically stay, which thankfully worked, so I sold some junk and had to buy a special item here for a quest, but I forgot that I dropped my Solaris coins. So after talking to this old man who gave me a task which would lead to him teaching me skills, I checked the contract board and saw that it was missing items to complete delivery, and accepted a new one, and then set out on a quick trip back to my death bag. Got my stuff, said hello to Axe, got some copper ore, and got back to the trade post where I handed in that delivery, except it was to get items from a wreck called Alcyon, and then bought the special Hadra Liturgian schematic. I hope I pronounced that right, which means I can make a good water canteen back at home. Both the delivery and story quest wanted me to head on over to the same wreck, so I traveled to the safety of night. Is what I would like to say, since, well, we are an escaped prisoner after all, and those big ships come out at night, and if they spot you, you will encounter the Emperor's dogs, piling you in an instant. At sunrise, I finally reached my destination, which is this colossal wreck, which I entered and was surprised that it was empty, so it took me no time at all to collect all the items requested of me on the top list. With them, I re-entered the blazing heat of the sun, crossed the sands incredibly slowly, and got to cracking out some sick upgrades, as I unlocked the next tier of scavenger gear, a new rifle, a blade, and all of that got crafted in a flash. However, I did notice purple schematics in my inventory, so I loaded them to make something called Wings of the Emperor and a better blade. To end this amazing day, the new suit was equipped, looking incredibly stylish, along with the special canteen and the wings that let me do this leap hover, which is very nice and likely can save me from some fall damage. While the new rifle definitely packs a punch, and this new blade surely will too. So I believe we've learned a hefty amount on how to navigate and progress in this world. So,
I'm aware that I've been lucky with avoiding the sandworm, and let's try to keep that up by making a pair of wheels to spend minimal time on the sand. And to make our first vehicle, being the sand bike, there are parts you craft from the fabricator like these treads, chassis, and the hull, which all logically cost a decent amount of copper, which also need fuel, of course, which you can solve at base with a small chemical refinery, in which you can make fuel vehicle cells. To actually build the vehicle, you don't place a garage in this case, you just need a welding torch, and with it, start assembling the bike like Legos. Our team's mechanic, Space Goat, would go absolutely ballistic with vehicle crafting, I can already tell. But note, you need 3 treads, and I only crafted 1, as I looted 2 damaged ones from the dungeon. They will do for now, though. And just like that, the Crowmeda is ready to rumble. That is, once it's fueled, of course. And man, this thing is revolutionary. We are cruising now, which is fantastic, as the quest line at this point leads you to the unexplored northern map called Vermilius Gap, where that big hammer mountain is. Easy enough, let's just hope that we don't run out of fuel, or it'll be the worm eating the bird. How the turn may table.
Come here, Mama. Come on. Where are you?
Once further north, the sand does turn a vibrant red, signaling that you've entered the new zone.
Oh. I hear you. Oh, you're angry. And we're safe.
Here's where the next step to progression lies that I couldn't do, as there is iron ore here, but you need a better cut rate to harvest it. But at least now we all know that. As for my enemies here, well, I think this speaks for itself. Much stronger, with shields. So I was outplayed rather swiftly, but using one's head, I feel like it should be doable. Here's the thing, though. I forgot to place a respawn beacon, so get into my vehicle, and with that, the death bag seems like a task I don't have the resilience for to accomplish. But the developers came by and asked if I wanted an ornithopter. That's a hell to the fucking yes for me, good sir. I didn't think I'd get the chance, and it is one of my favorite things in all of Dune.
Ooh. Now we're cooking. Ooh, this is nice. Oh, hi, Mooma. How you doing? Oh, yeah, no. That thing is not happy that I'm flying based on the sensor there. Let's get a little bit of a view. Ooh, who's that down there? Oh, that person's dead. That person is 100% dead. Yep, that'll do it. It has the thing.
Yes, it has the dive from the movies, which is exhilarating. The flying as a whole feels amazing.
Cool.
I could do this for ages, and everyone else started to take to the skies too, but it's not all smooth sailing up here.
Oh, that's not good. Oh. Uh-oh. This is the problem. Oh, no. There's no I'm overheated. What do I do? Uh-oh.
Yeah, watch your stats as you go. As for messing around towards the end here, I'm pretty sure it was Syntac and Axeman who not only wanted to ram me, which I obliged to, but they figured out how to do barrel rolls.
Do a barrel roll. 1, 2, 3. You can go on with barrel rolls, dude. Oh, it's quicksand. Oh, it's quicksand. That was a bad idea. That was a bad idea.
As many of you know, I come from a background in art, and as it goes there, you want to watch your hand placement while you fly, as we like to call this here maneuver the E attack.
Oh, 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 oh. Abandoned. Abandoned. Oh, this is bad. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, snap.
Oh, you're toast. You are
No
toast.
Let me go!
Sayonara, baby. Dead as hell.
Dead
But
as
it
hell.
eventually had to
Yep.
happen, reduced to atoms within the belly of the beast.
feast. I wouldn't have it any other way, though. But one last thing I had to do was run up defenseless to the Emperor's minions, which locked me into stasis for a bit for the Sardaukar to descend upon my booty cheeks, and they are relentless. No room to breathe whatsoever, so engage with caution. But yes, I think I've gotten a solid grasp of the gameplay, and it was a super fun gaming session. I cannot wait for the full release. Snapping back to reality, daytime already had passed. We were all quite famished, so everyone went on a short walk to reach the restaurant for the evening and enjoy their time there, as this was